you just abandon any precaution. You know, folks, something could happen here, and if it does, so what?
Welcome to Nathan for Us, a Nathan Fielder fan podcast. My name is Kelly.
And hi, I'm Megan.
And today we have the 5th episode of season 2 of The Rehearsal to talk about. This episode is called Washington. But before we get into that, just want to let everyone know that we did a really fun interview with Pilot Colin on the channel a couple of days ago. So if you haven't checked that out yet, you definitely should. It was a great conversation, and he was just a delight to talk to.
Oh my gosh, he is so nice, so funny, so personable, so charismatic. I feel like we
Yeah.
got to really learn a lot more about his personality, his interests. We find out what happened with him and Emma. So give it a listen.
Yes, we were careful to not break the NDA, but I think we still got some interesting nuggets about the show.
Oh, definitely.
And I have one more piece of old business to talk about, which is that earlier, I think maybe toward the end of last week, we saw the actress who played Sully's mom revealing herself on TikTok. Her name is Taylor Krasny, and she had some really funny comments on the video where she talked about her experience playing Sully's mom on the episode. A couple of questions that she answered. She was also the mom when Nathan was a baby. So that is, good on her for being able to act through that. She was wearing peg stilts, so she had to tippy tap away in certain scenes. She could not look Nathan in the eye when she closed the door in that one scene because she was about to laugh. And overall, she said it was unbelievably difficult to remain serious.
If you can all picture her closing the door with her super long arms, having to like hug the door and pull it closed, I don't know how she didn't laugh, to be honest. She is also a stunt double, a circus artist, and knows the entire dance opening to bring it on. So she is a multi-talented queen.
Yeah, we love her. But yeah, go watch Taylor's little vid and read some of her comments if you're interested in that. But moving on to Washington, we get a cold open this week with Nathan, who is talking to a fake congressional committee featuring our friend John Goglia, and he's explaining to the congressional committee what he has been working on.
Yeah, so we see Nathan pitching to his panel of Fielder method actors who were all given a primary as one of the members of this committee. And we get a really fun fake Angela sighting from last season. So I, of course, wish she had a bigger role. But if anyone remembers, Fake Angela was an incredible actress, a member of the Fielder method, a graduate, certificate holder, some might say. Her name is Anna Lamadrid. You can find her on Instagram, and I'm so hoping that we see her again next episode.
Yeah, she was definitely a standout from season 1, so very happy to see her coming back here. I agree. I think it would have been fun if she had a bit more of a bigger role, but we'll see. Maybe in the season finale, we'll see a little bit more of Anna.
Yeah, that would be great. So we have John suggest to the state what the problem is, and he's really there to support Nathan, giving this pitch, telling them about how if we give pilots and the first officers acting roles, they might be able to break the ice. It might be a little bit silly, but overall their communication will be better.
Yeah, and we kind of get to backtrack a bit. We learn why Nathan is doing all this, and it's because he has learned that Warner Brothers Discovery, who is the parent company of HBO, has this corporate governance board that has lobbyists who will advocate on various issues. So he wants to try and get this lobbyist group to get him a meeting with the Louisiana representative Garrett Graves, who's no longer in office as of 2025. I did a little research into this guy, and to be honest, overall, it seems like he kind of sucks. Sorry to Garrett. I doubt he's listening, but
That would be wild.
he's like, I can't believe you would say that about me.
So mean.
I feel like my politics are pretty obvious, and this guy just does not exactly fit with what I personally believe. He did vote to object to the results of the 2020 election,
Oh
so
my gosh.
that gives you a little bit about the kind of person that we are dealing with here.
So, Nathan believes that his best chance for causing real change is to bring this issue forward and to get it on their radar.
Yeah, so we see Nathan chatting all about the different things that he's been doing on the show. So we see a little clip with Colin, and how when Colin was given the character of Captain Powers, he was able to take on that character. And despite the fact that he is normally not necessarily the guy who's going to try and kiss Emma, when he has that character on, he is able to move forward with going to kiss Emma.
Yeah, so Colin actually posted about this moment on his Instagram story, which I thought was absolutely hilarious, saying that he's still catching strays for this kiss. And the fake congressman is saying to Nathan, "So what, you want pilots to kiss each other?"
Yeah, and I'm saying that I believe that I did say earlier in this season that I do want the pilots to kiss each other. So that would be my answer. Like, I don't know, maybe let them try it. Why not?
Would you be more or less comfortable if you knew that the pilot and first officer had kissed on your flight?
I think I'd probably like I guess it depends. Are they kissing while they're flying the plane or before? That changes my answer.
You cannot see because they're locked away. You know they have kissed. You have no other information.
The only problem with this scenario is at that point, I feel like I would be so preoccupied the entire flight just trying to figure out the scenario, like why the pilots kissed, like are they in love? Like I'd just be writing fan fiction the entire flight.
I think I would prefer it if they had kissed because then at least that would be my personal preference. Because I think it would mean that at some point they had to communicate. Some of these people haven't spoken at all. And if you've gotten to the point where you've kissed someone, you've had a conversation, I assume.
Yeah.
It's more likely than not that you have spoken and would be willing to speak up in an emergency.
The real question is, are they kissing because one of them is doing eyes, lips, eyes?
Okay, well, no one can protect themselves from that sort of armed attack.
It's true. Captain All Ears is Captain All Eyes in that scenario.
Yes. We actually had a few of you message us, which was pretty hilarious, telling us about times you've realized that Eyes, Lips, Eyes has been used on you, or promising to pursue it and give it a go in the future. So keep sending in your stories because, frankly, we just like reading them.
Frankly, we're nosy, but also, like, you have nothing to lose using eyes, lips, eyes, to be honest. Because the worst case is that they either don't notice and don't do anything about it, or they notice and don't act on it, in which case it's like a pretty soft rejection.
Yeah, you can pretend that they have something on their lip or in their teeth if they don't do anything. And they're like, "Oh, are you looking at my lips?" And you're like, no, you have crap in your teeth. Thanks.
That's very
Bye.
that's very first officer blunt of you.
Well, in this situation, I used eyes, lips, eyes, and the person was not into it. And I'm quickly backtracking and need to rib them a little bit, and I'm panicking.
Did you rehearse this? Because you had that. You were really good at that.
I have not tried it yet, but that is how I would immediately backpedal to try to get out of it. The only risk is if the person also watches the rehearsal.
That is a big risk because it does seem like this show has become quite popular with the aviation community.
Yeah. All the pilots will know. You can't use it on pilots anymore.
Oh, that's such a bummer because, like, it is a good move. We'll have to come up with something different.
Lips, eyes, lips.
Lips, eyes, lips. Oh my goodness. So what do you think about the character sheet idea that Nathan is proposing here?
Well, I think it's pretty silly. I do think it might actually work. It is helpful to break the ice. He even mentioned that while the pilots are joking about it and finding it silly, they are communicating. I know if at work I was given this character, it would get brought up so many times, but the point is to get you talking. And so while I think the idea is really silly, I do think it would actually work if that is the goal, to get people talking to each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty fun icebreaker to be like, oh, put on this little character. So I see how it can get people to be more comfortable. But yeah, this this simply will just never happen. But I don't think
Mhm.
that's the point. I don't think that Nathan actually thinks he's solving the aviation crisis that we're in, to be honest. But we can get into that too.
Just this show existing, the conversation's already happening. People are already noticing. I'm sure that pilots are all watching it when they hear about it. A lot of pilots have also actually been on the show or were messaged on LinkedIn about asking if they wanted to be on the show. So I'm sure that it's a topic that many pilots are discussing. I feel as if he has mostly accomplished his goal of having this topic raised. And then if lawmakers or the aviation community want to pursue it, the FFA want to implement some training around it, they have all the information that they need.
But do you think he's sincere in this goal, or is he just making a TV show?
Uh, I mean, air travel is like the safest form of transportation, is it not? It's like the one kind of transportation we probably don't need to focus on if like maybe cars.
Walking maybe is like safer, but yeah, I'm pretty sure air travel is incredibly safe.
Unbelievably safe. Yeah, so maybe it's just a funny bit about communication and the human experience, but it's a good platform for discussing it, and it's a bit of a silly one. So I would say ultimately, no, I don't think he's probably pursuing it seriously, but it is becoming safer now because I'm sure more pilots are talking, and communication is always better. It's hard to over communicate in the workplace.
Yeah, I'm so curious if, because we know that people were recruited through LinkedIn. I wonder if the people who were doing the recruiting reached out to any other groups, if there was like other professions that they had kind of zeroed in on where they could have taken this, or if it was really just, the aviation industry that they were focusing on because Nathan had clearly already had this kind of interest in it and had a bunch of research.
We see John mention how Nathan has invested a lot of his time and a lot of his own money into this project to bring it forward. And Nathan points out that actually it wasn't his own money. So thank you, HBO.
Yeah, I am like curious. Did John actually think that this was Nathan's money? Like, Nathan must be really projecting sincerity to John, which is good because how else would he have gotten John on the show? But he is a better actor than we probably give him credit for.
Yeah, I think Nathan is a little bit more careful with John specifically. We see a little bit later how he tries to tell a joke that, maybe wouldn't land with John, but we don't see John actually there during that bit. While I don't think he was the most smooth in front of this group, and John kind of jumped in and tried to help him iron out his speech, I do think he is trying to make sure that John doesn't think it's a complete joke. It would be very interesting to see him watching this back, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear from John at the end of the season, how he feels this went. But we see John helping Nathan to prepare. He's basically telling him, representatives are going to grill you. It's going to be hard for you to be taken seriously. And he mentions that Nathan is known for causing pranks, or I believe one of the other representatives mentions that Nathan is known for causing pranks. Is that the best way to describe what Nathan does?
No, I definitely wouldn't say so. I wrote a note of, should Mr. Bouchette have studied Nathan more and treated him a little bit more like a primary? I don't think a lot of people who were in the room actually knew who Nathan was. We see a little bit later a guy named Troy that Nathan is speaking to who asks Nathan what his name is.
Yeah.
So definitely not pranks, but just funny scenarios with a little bit of sincerity and more so reflecting on human experience. But he's not out there playing literal pranks on people. If anything, if it's very pranky, it's on himself.
Yeah, I feel like when I think of a prank, I think of like an Eric Andre,
Yeah.
where
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of like being very kooky. And I guess it's maybe just because of the way that Nathan presents himself. He's so straight man. He's very like serious and dry when he does all of these comedic things that, yeah, I just feel like it doesn't come off as a prank, but I don't even know how you would describe the type of comedy he does. I guess just absurdist comedy is probably the only way. So Nathan tells us that in order to prepare for going to Congress, he's been looking at other comedians who have done the same. And so he shows us a couple of clips of different people who've gone to Congress. We see Seth Rogen, Stephen Colbert, Hassan Minaj, Jon Stewart. Those are the 4 that we see in this little clip package. Do we want to try and power rank these comedians, or do we think that there's no point? They're all kind of equally funny? Because I do feel like these guys are all sort of like in a similar style of comedy, except for Seth Rogen, who really stands out as someone different to me.
I love Seth Rogen. I love his pottery journey. I love that he's just, I feel like very wholesome, but also like very silly. When you said rank them, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to rank them based on did they actually implement change or are they just silly, funny, goofy guys? Because some are both. As far as these 4 are considered, Jon Stewart apparently implemented the most policy change for 9/11 first responders, which is probably why Nathan was also bringing this up. But yeah, I mean, 4 incredible comedians. Did you want to rank them?
If you asked me last year, I would have been like, well, Seth Rogen's probably number 4 for me. However, I recently started watching The Studio. Me and the 4 other people who have Apple TV Plus are watching this show. And it is so incredible that it has increased my ranking of Seth Rogen. So I don't know if he's number 1 for me, but he's definitely shot up the power ranking. So that's my plug for
Okay.
everyone to watch The Studio.
I have not seen The Studio. I do not have Apple Plus. But you and I have gone to see Stephen Colbert live.
We have, yes. And it was really fun.
It was very fun. I did make a picture, a little collage in a frame of that trip, and there is a sexy Stephen Colbert lying horizontally across it. So he might be my number 1 for simply that alone.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good at what he does. I feel like Jon Stewart is like the original Colbert, though, which makes it hard because they're so similar to me.
You got to pick a ranking.
Okay.
You got to rip the Band-Aid off.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm going Colbert, Seth Rogen, Jon Stewart, Hassan.
Done.
That's my pick.
The anvil is down.
I know. I'm just like so super bad pilled too, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, Superbad is an incredible film.
Like I don't want to still love Superbad.
Why not? It holds up incredibly well. I watched it probably a year or 2 ago, wondering if it holds up, and it does.
We need the new I feel like studios also keep trying to make the new Superbad, and like we've gotten close. Like Booksmart
was really good. Yeah.
Bottoms was fun, but like a different vibe. But yeah. Anyway, this isn't a
Moving
Seth Rogen
on.
fan podcast. Maybe next time. That's what we'll do.
Next time.
So Nathan tells a little joke here because that's kind of what he's learned from watching the other comedians. That often they will do a little joke in order to lighten up the mood and just kind of, set things up before they get into the meat of why they're really at Congress. Do we want to dissect this joke that he tells?
Absolutely. Do you want to play Nathan or do you want to play the crowd laughing hysterically?
I can be Nathan. I can be really serious if you want.
Okay, go for it.
The last time I had to answer to a transportation authority was when I got caught masturbating on that bus. But in my defense, the driver did keep telling me to get off.
So, nobody laughed the first time Nathan told this joke. Like, it's haha, but it's not really laugh out loud funny. So it doesn't hit very well. No one in the room laughs. But Nathan asked one of the actors, Troy, who we mentioned earlier, why he didn't laugh at the joke. And Troy wasn't sure if he was allowed to laugh. So Nathan tells the actors and all the people in the crowd that they are supposed to act human. And I thought even the way that he phrased it was quite well. Because in the moment, if you suddenly have to explain to a crowd of people to act like normal people and respond how you would naturally respond, I don't even know how I would go about explaining that.
But then they really overcorrect, which
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
this must have been directed. There's no way that this is exactly what happened, because this was so over the top for them to all be laughing like this.
They must have been told to start laughing really hard because Nathan then says, just a little reminder for everyone, we're all playing human beings, right?
Yeah.
Whatever your version of human is, if your body wants to laugh, make a sound it would naturally make, which is crazy.
Those sounds sounded unnatural, a lot of the ones in the audience.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a funny thing to say, though, even if you're just saying it to yourself, like, okay, I'm going to act human, I'm going to make sounds my body would naturally make in this situation.
It is a good little pep talk. When you're feeling anxious, just be like, okay, I'm going to act human. I'm going to make the sounds that a human would make.
Me every day before this podcast. I will act human.
It's hard. Sometimes it's hard. But at this point, we do find out that Nathan will not be having a meeting with Garrett Graves. His office turned down the request to have a meeting because it wasn't, quote, the right fit. And then we get a scene of Nathan Googling himself because he basically is like, this guy obviously Googled me. And he feels that looking at himself on the internet makes him feel like Nathan looks like a complete fool. We get some zoom ins on the picture from the chili episode of Nathan For You, where Nathan put heat resistant goo on his crotch and then someone's holding a blowtorch to it. We see just like a couple of ridiculous fun throwbacks.
Yeah, we get the claw of shame. We get Nathan dressed as a dog. So it is tough to Google Nathan and perhaps think serious. Like, if you really thought hard about it, you could say, you know what, this man is safety focused, but you'd have to have seen the show and really be giving him a lot of grace there. The claw of shame is a hard one to explain.
The claw of shame is a little rough. I mean, I have like a million pictures of random Nathan moments on my phone. And yeah, a lot of them, sometimes I'm like, if I like got hit by a car, for example, and someone found my phone and they were like looking through my photos, they would be so utterly confused by all of these weird Nathan Fielder things that I have on there.
Who is this person going through your phone as you're dead on the road that doesn't know you?
Maybe
this sounds like a crime.
They're trying to find my emergency contacts, but instead they click on my photo folder that's just called memes. I don't know.
They get wildly distracted by Nathan For You memes as you die on the streets. This is why we need Nathan to abandon the pilots, pivot to automobiles.
Yeah, I'm like, please delete my browsing history on Pinterest.
Your mother has been on this podcast. It's fine. I forget what we asked her. I think she's been on a few times.
We should bring her back.
To follow up, if there are any cowboys out there, if there are any ranchmen, we're constantly in search for Kelly's mother.
It's true. It would be really fun to find her someone. If we could set up the hunk, but for my mom, that would be really helpful for me.
Accepting ranchman applications.
Yeah. Honestly, maybe a pilot. That'd be fun for her too. So basically Nathan explains that every public appearance that he has done, he's had to convey sincerity, but instead he's turned that into a joke. And he kind of segues this into talking about how over the past few years, he's come across a lot of articles. Specifically, he shows us one article where someone wrote about how the rehearsal reflected their experience with autism. And he shows a couple of other things. He shows some Reddit threads, a lot of discussions detailing how people in this community have found the show and that how it resonates with them. And despite it not being Nathan's intention.
Yeah, and even since this came out, there's just been an overwhelming response of people commenting that they felt that this show really helped them, that rehearsing is a big part of their lives, that they feel really seen. So it is a very wholesome moment of the show.
Yeah, I feel like the weird thing to me is people just keep being like, and I guess we'll get into this when we do the eye test, but people just keep still trying to decide well, does Nathan have autism or not? And I just feel like that's not important. honestly, to my viewing of the show. And also, Nathan's playing a character, so I just don't think we'll ever know what his intention was with this whole thing.
Yeah, we're not trying to diagnose him here.
No, that's what Dr. Doreen Grandpichy does later on, but
Yeah, she does heavily imply her thoughts on Nathan, which was kind of funny.
yeah, but so at this point in the episode, like, where are we going? What are we doing here? We're just going down, as usual, a lot of rabbit holes that seem unrelated to the aviation industry. But Nathan ties it all together, explaining that Tennessee Representative Steve Cohen is also on the aviation committee. And so Nathan now needs to find a way to connect with Steve Cohen. How does this connect to the autism situation? Well, Cohen's also on the Congressional Autism Caucus. So now Nathan is realizing that he might be a thought leader on autism. So he's going to try and use that as his in to chat with Steve. Now, Steve is kind of an interesting guy. I read through his Wikipedia page, as one does when there's a character on the show who has a lengthy Wikipedia page. And he seems like a bit of a comedian himself.
Okay, so I have not read anything about him. I'm excited to hear. I feel like I took one for the team watching all of Jeff's YouTube stand-up comedy. So I'm prepared to sit and listen to this long Wikipedia page summarized.
Yeah, well, so I'm just going to get into like the funny, not as political stuff because there's a lot on here. And honestly, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that kind of, it's just not the vibe for this podcast for me to talk about how Steve Cohen feels about, Holocaust distortion and these kinds of things. Except actually we do talk about that a lot in the other episodes. But I'm just not going to get into that today with Steve here.
Not today.
But he's actually been interviewed on the Colbert Report. So I thought that was kind of fun. He was on a show called Conspiracy Theory, which I thought was interesting. I didn't do too much research into that, though.
Normally, we love a conspiracy theory. We love a little tinfoil toque moment.
Honestly, like, the conspiracy theory to me is just like, if it's not aliens, if it's not, there's a second shooter, like, I'm just like not that interested. And this is
the Denver airport.
The Denver airport is a great one. This is about like Secretary of Homeland Security establishing national emergency. I'm like, you lost me. Sorry. Like, that's boring. This isn't a sexy conspiracy theory. No offense if this is anyone's pet project.
Is Avril Lavigne real?
That's a good one. Oh my gosh. But anyway, the reason I feel like he is a bit of a comedian, he became the subject of media attention when he branded Attorney General William Barr as, quote, Chicken Barr, after Barr did not appear for a House Judiciary Committee hearing and then decided to eat from a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken during the hearing.
Now, did he actually eat or did he pretend to eat?
It sounds like he ate it.
A nice little snack?
Like, it sounds more fun than the judiciary hearing, in my opinion.
For sure.
I'd rather be eating Kentucky Fried Chicken. So that's our guy Steve here.
So in order to get to Steve, we meet Dr. Doreen Grandpichy at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. So I just wanted to note that there's a lot of problematic views on autism from her. She has kind of come forward and said that in a 2008 documentary called Recovered, A Journey Through the Autism Spectrum and Back, she claimed that more than half of the children receiving intervention at an early age recovered completely from autism. I think we all know that you cannot recover from autism. It's not something that you can cure. Nathan doesn't really platform her or endorse her views, so that's all we're going to say about that. We're just going to keep talking about the episode, but she's not the most informed on the topic somehow, even though she is platformed as a knowledgeable expert on it.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Like, I was Googling her too, and she's an anti-vaxxer. She's like a vaccines cause autism person, which, like, famously as a woman in STEM who studied public health, like she might be my enemy now. But yeah, it just kind of sucks when this is who's platformed on the show, however well-meaning her intentions may be. But
I'm going to believe that Nathan did not know this.
I feel like he definitely knew. There's no way he didn't like background check this. Maybe it'll come up again in the last episode. Or honestly, like this might have just been the easiest person for him to get into contact with. Like, it's hard to say. At the end of the day, he is making a TV show for our enjoyment. So, you know, it is
And
what
none
it
of those
is.
views were mentioned. So it was only through Googling and researching the different characters did we learn this. So it really is a bummer.
Let's talk about the test that she does with Nathan. So this is called Reading the Minds in the Eyes. And she shows this test to Nathan. She explains to him that this is something that is really like something that they use a lot in diagnosing people, and people who are autistic find this test incredibly difficult.
Yeah, so I actually stumbled upon this quiz like a month or two ago, completely by accident. I didn't know it was an autism quiz. I
Oh.
just took it because it was on Facebook or something. I was like, oh, can you tell people's expressions? So I took the quiz and it was kind of fun.
Okay, I'm going to cut the part of the podcast out where Megan had to go check her email for a second about a spam thing at work, but I feel like if you're clicking the spam email at work and clicking the Mind's Eye test on Facebook, Meg, we need to get you some cybersecurity training.
Look, if there's a quiz, I kind of want to take it.
That's so funny.
Do you want to know my personality types?
How did you find the quiz? Was it difficult or did you find it easy?
I happened to get perfect, but I think that was I don't think that's like a positive or a negative, because some of the time it was really up for debate, you know. So I happened to do well on this test, but it's hard, you know, so many things are so close to each other and you can interpret it your own way. So I wouldn't say it's definitive. I think some of the answers are very similar, and it's more so, you know, do you think someone looks angry when they clearly look happy?
Yeah.
I'm certainly not an expert on this test. I knew nothing about it. I just randomly clicked it. As discussed, I should click on less things.
I briefly looked at it. I could see it being difficult, personally.
Definitely.
I don't know what that says about me. I'm not about to self-diagnose on here, but yeah, I mean, interesting to show this, and we see Nathan kind of struggling and talking about like, oh, well, like this is kind of hard, right? The photos are very low res, and I think it's pretty clear that he's like definitely playing this up, in my opinion. But what did you think?
Yeah, I think he's definitely playing it up, but also it is kind of hard to tell. Like, I don't know if the quiz I took was official by any means. I certainly didn't go to the official website. So even you can tell in looking at them, some of them are pretty similar, but they definitely chose to keep this in for a reason. They chose to show this on the show because it was just a bit of a comedic moment. And it was also interesting and taught us all a little bit more.
Yeah, I also was going to say, thinking back on it now, it's possible maybe Dr. Doreen was brought on to the show because she was already a fan of the rehearsal. Like, I wonder if maybe she reached out to Nathan or Nathan's team, and that's how she ended up on the show.
Yeah, because she is a fan. So that's kind of interesting. And we do get some great results because she's on the show. We dive into it where Nathan is explaining to her his actual reasons for being there, that he wants her to help endorse him so he can get this meeting to talk about aviation safety. And when he's fully explaining his project, he shows her that they fully recreated an airport. And she sees a really great opportunity to help kids practice being in an airport and prepare themselves for when they actually have to go on a plane, which is a really wonderful moment in the show.
Yeah, I thought that was really wholesome, allowing the kids to go in the airport. And like airports are so stressful overall. So I fully see how rehearsing could be helpful for anyone going through an airport. What do you think about this rehearsal scene, and what would you like to rehearse for if you could build your own set?
If I could rehearse for anything, I would definitely steal what Angela did. I think it was really cool to get to raise a fake family as someone without children, and whose only kid I really hang out with is Kelly's kid, who's a sweet little angel. I only also see like the best parts of him and get to hang out and have all the fun and then run away at the end. So I thought that Angela's rehearsal was actually a really cool one, and it's something that I would have loved to try or be a part of.
Yeah, I am so curious now to hear more about, like, after having a kid, I one need to go back and rewatch season 1, and two, I am so curious to hear more about like Angela's experience, because I feel like we didn't really actually hear her talk a lot about how she thought it was going, because obviously the show is a lot more focused on Nathan, and then I feel like the Angela parts that we got were a lot more of her being like zany and kooky or saying something weird. Um, but we didn't really hear her like talk about how she felt about the whole thing. So I'd be curious to hear more from that.
Yeah, it does require a lot of buy-in on your own part. Like you have to really commit to this being a rehearsal, and sometimes rehearsing for something short term, like if you're at an airport for a few hours or if you're rehearsing for a date, you can stay focused for that duration of time. She was expected to fake garden and talk to these children all hours of the day who were switching and clearly are different people. She had a fake Etsy business where she was supposed to be packaging fake packages and putting them outside for the delivery truck to pick up and bring nowhere. And I remember during that episode, Nathan noticed that when he wasn't there, she was talking to the kids, asking their real names, not calling them Adam, and wasn't really bought into the process. But immersing yourself long term would be very, very difficult. So you can only really get out of it what you put in. And that would be very difficult to pretend that the 3-year-old who turns into a 6-year-old over a second is your child.
But yeah, so we see the scene of Nathan's airport, because basically Nathan has he has to talk with Dr. Doreen a bit more about the fact that, he doesn't want to do kids in the rehearsal anymore after last season and what happened with Adam.
Can we talk about how I immediately called that?
You
And then you guys told me some crazy story about how no, the size of the kid had to be to scale to Nathan and that they needed an adult. It was like, no, he just didn't want to use kids, and they put an insane face prosthetic on this adult or unknown figure behind this creepy child's face.
You called it. You were correct on that
Thank
one.
you. Thank you.
But Dr. Doreen kind of like pressures him and is like, oh, well, like, I think that it was fine. And I think that it was nice that Remy was so, believed that you were his dad and that he found a father figure in you and all of these types of things. And really, like, she just gives Nathan enough compliments that he finally agrees to let her use his airport.
Can we just say, not a good enough reason to use the word daddy? She could have said dad.
I mean, maybe it was like a Freudian slip type of thing. Like she's like Nathan's daddy,
No, no. I hate that.
I also said father figure when I was talking just now, and like I'm just having baby girl father figure flashes as well. So that's where our heads are at with this episode currently.
I don't think it was a good enough reason. But I guess she's complimenting him, saying that he treated the kids with respect and did the best that he could. And he did seem to really bond with them and play with them. And it was really lovely.
Yeah. So she's able to secure the airport, and we see this little scene with all the kids, and they're in Nathan's airport, which is really cute. They all take a photo together, and we find out that Nathan is going to be given a seat on the board that Doreen is a part of. and ultimately will be able to secure his meeting with Steve Cohen.
Okay, but if we could back up to the t-shirts, I immediately got Major Scott's Tots vibes. Did you
Totally.
not?
Yeah,
Oh
no,
my
for
gosh.
sure.
It definitely made it less wholesome.
I feel like that must have been the inspiration.
Everyone must have immediately thought that. And if anyone doesn't know, there's an episode of The Office where Michael had promised a scholarship to a group of children. If they had graduated, he would pay for their college. And he ultimately is unable to do that. But he has all these photos of the kids in their shirts that say Scott's Tots. It's a very cringy episode. And that's just the vibe that it gave me. Although it did seem that a lot of these kids were able to really get some good practice in and hopefully are able to have a smoother uh, interaction and experience at an airport. And this is something that Nathan could have really dove into and focused even outside of this, being able to use some of these big props and sets that he's used to practice these social interactions. There's a few shows that focus on autism that are out this year. For example, there's Love on the Spectrum, which I watched, and that's how I learned a lot about autism and masking, and you just meet such an array of characters with all different skill sets, all different communication levels, and you learn what a spectrum it is, which might be pretty cliche to say, but you really get a good visual and a good understanding of what kinds of practice are helpful for certain kinds of people. They have a coach in the episode who comes and meets with different cast members, and they practice and they do rehearse. And so it is a real part of an experience that is actually helpful, which is helpful for a lot of people, but some people do it a little bit more than others.
Yeah, and going back to Nathan's whole plan here, he wants us to know that he's going to go into this meeting with Steve Cohen and he's not going to rehearse because while he likes the rehearsal, it's not necessary for him to do it. He doesn't have to do it. It's just an exercise, a bonus, or a fun, helpful tool for him to be able to prepare.
So we meet Steve, and he says he loves Vancouver, but when he describes Vancouver, I don't actually think he's been to Vancouver. He says he stayed at a place with eagles, lots of wind, and whales, and the whole Alaska experience. I was like, were you actually just in Alaska?
Yeah, I'm a little confused by that too. Like, Vancouver isn't far from Alaska, I guess. Like, I think if you're going to take a cruise to Alaska, you probably leave from Vancouver. But it does feel like that's not how I would describe Vancouver. I don't think I saw eagles or whales when I was there.
Yeah, it's definitely rainy. You are, on the ocean. There is a lot to this. Yeah. Yeah, the seawall is a great one. But yeah, I don't know about lots of wind. Like maybe it was a really windy day. I'm just not convinced he's been there based on this brief explanation. And Nathan couldn't guess what he was referring to, what spot. So
yeah, you're calling his ass out. You're a liar.
Go to Vancouver again.
Yeah, go back to Vancouver, Steve. Prove to us. Show us a photo. Name a fun bar you've been to. Give us the name of a brewery. I don't know. Prove that you've been to Vancouver.
Now, a note you added is that also has a sleigh-looking Yeti mug.
Yeah, I was like, oh, the man likes his coffee hot. Like, I love that for him. I also love my coffee hot, so I am an avid Yeti mug user that Megan actually purchased for me because when you have a toddler, you need to always have your wits about you and all of your drink vessels have to be covered. So that's my parenting tip for today.
Only today.
Only today.
Okay, our friend group is way too obsessed with Yetis. And I so adamantly disagree. I know you like them. It's a fun gift. They keep things too hot, frankly. You need a worse thermos. Like a good one that actually allows your coffee to cool a little bit, keeps it warm for a long duration of time. And frankly, I'm happy to drink coffee at any temperature. If it's cold in the afternoon, great. I like a cold coffee. If it's hot at the beginning, okay, fun, double drink. We mix it up a little bit. I leave coffee a little bit too long. I'm a slow drinker. I get it at all different temperatures. It's a fun new experience every time. I'm realizing now that I already got a bit of hate for my last coffee take. Please don't message me again.
I could not disagree more. I need my coffee. Okay, well, to be fair, most of the time I drink lattes. So when you make a latte properly, it's basically at the perfect temperature to drink anyway. But I'm like, I need a nice hot latte or I need iced. Those are like my only two. Those are my only two temps. I'm like, I can't do a room temp. Like, I would sooner die.
Okay, but if you do a pour over and many of our listeners drink black coffee, you're putting that into a Yeti. That is too hot. It's too hot. Do you have time to cool it down?
I usually bring mine to work, so it does cool on the way.
Yeah, you need a drinking temperature. It's boiling.
Well, if Yeti wants to send me anything. But yes, I do enjoy his Yeti. I was just like, oh, I love to see it. I also was like, oh, his office seems pretty casual, but he has like a lot of paraphernalia about like John F. Kennedy. I don't know if you noticed on the wall. He has like a whole wall that's like dedicated to Kennedy. And then I looked it up and I guess he met Kennedy at some point, and that like really inspired him into wanting to go into politics. Which is kind of interesting. I don't know. I just feel like anyone who has a mural wall of another person, I am a little bit like of a red flag with that, you know?
Yeah, I think it would help. No, there's no reason you should have it unless it's like your family or
Yeah,
something. Like if it's your own people, if you know them, not met once, if you know them.
yes. Unless you're a teenage girl or a teenage boy or a teenage non-binary person, I guess. Yeah, I feel like once you age up out of like that, 16-year-old is probably like where I would say after that you're a little bit old to have a wall dedicated to someone. It's just like I'm like, why is Steve Cohen treating Kennedy like he's the Backstreet Boys or like One Direction or something?
Are posters still a thing?
Oh, definitely. I bet there's still that weird poster fair at universities where they like bus in every poster on the planet, and then like every single first year guy buys a Fight Club poster or a Scarface poster and puts it up on their wall. I'm calling your asses out if any of our listeners had that.
So, should we get back to autism advocacy? It is very suspicious that he does not know what masking is. If you are active in the autism community, if you are an advocate, should you not know what masking is? So, this is a red flag that comes up for us.
I was thinking maybe he like didn't hear. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what happened here because it does just feel so unbelievable that he wouldn't know what masking is. So I'm like, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he didn't hear what Nathan said or something like that. But it does feel
But then
suspicious.
Nathan explains it.
Like maybe he was too embarrassed to be like, oh, I just didn't hear you.
I wonder if Nathan asked him to say no so that he could explain it so that just the general public has a little bit more knowledge.
Maybe movie magic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Nathan goes through all of this with Steve Cohen. And this is where we learn a bit more about his proposed method for the pilots. And this is where we meet our two new favorite characters, First Officer Blunt and Captain Allears. Who resonates the most with you out of these two characters?
Oh, I feel like I'm a good listener, but I'm also blunt sometimes. I think everyone wants to be Captain All Ears, but some of us are kidding ourselves. Like everybody wants to be a good listener.
I think that this similar to autism is a spectrum. Like, I think there's a spectrum between Captain Allears and First Officer Blunt, and I think that, you know, throughout the day we're different parts of the spectrum.
Sometimes we're all ears, sometimes we're blunt.
Yeah.
So, First Officer Blunt loves speaking up, honest, almost to a fault, not afraid to take over controls if necessary, and a great pilot.
And we have Captain All Ears, who loves feedback, is not afraid to admit that they're wrong, and is also a great pilot.
What a wonderful team. Hopefully they kiss a little. Who would kiss who?
I was going to say, who's initiating the kiss? You could write like two different fan fictions where it's like, I feel like, you know, First Officer Blunt maybe gets into like a little bit of a spicy mood and like says something to Captain Allears that maybe was a little bit too harsh, and then Captain Allears just takes it so well, and then First Officer Blunt is like, you know, you're so stupid, you never understand what I'm really trying to say to you, and then does lips eyes lips, and then, you know, they're smooching.
But for an appropriate amount of time, and they are handling their business because they are both great pilots, and they are flying you safely to your destination. They are just also getting to their own.
But yeah, and then Captain Allears, I feel like the initiation for Captain Allears is a bit more soft, you know? They're admitting that they're wrong.
We love a humble all ears.
I do wish that, like, in this scripted interaction that there was some kissing.
Between who?
Captain Allears and First Officer Blunt. Just like to try it out. We saw multiple different duos do this script. Like, we could have tried a different method. We saw in Wings of Voice, like, all of the different bands did different styles. Like, we could have had something similar with this little script here. Maybe, like, you know, it's more of like a Western theme one time, and then another time it's like a romance, and then another time it's like a sci-fi. Like, I just think that we could have gone a little further here.
So then is the plane the same in all of them? Are they riding horses? Is this still aviation? Are they in a UFO?
Like, is any of this still about aviation?
You're like writing fanfics about the pilots. You're like, why isn't this a romance?
I'm just saying. And if you're wondering if I've looked up if there's Nathan Fielder fanfic, I have.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, not as much as I expected. But maybe that's a deep dive for another day.
But Nathan Fielder and who? Brian Wolf? Like,
yes,
who is
literally,
the duo? Really?
Literally, Brian Wolf is one of them.
In this version, he loves the V-neck. He was just too impressed by it, and he needed Nathan to go change. He couldn't handle it. He was like, what, you thought the V-neck was going to do something for me? You thought it was going to make me think you were cool? I don't want to see it, but he's really in denial.
Brian Wolf is such a First Officer Blunt.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So
and
much.
Nathan is a Captain All Ears trying to get feedback.
Oh my god, it's perfect. But yes, there's that one, and there's also multiple that are like, it's like, do you know what like Y/N means in fanfiction?
No.
I'm really showing my whole ass with this, but it's
yes or
means,
no.
No, it means your name. So it's like a self-insert fanfiction.
You say your own name, it'll be like Nathan Fielder and you're supposed to say Kelly.
Yeah, so it would be like,
there's no way you want to read that.
The setup is like Nathan and YN are going out to try and solve the aviation crisis, and then, like, you know, for some reason they arrive to shoot in LA at the HBO studio, and there's only one bed in the fake hotel room that they'll be staying in. Like, that would be the setup. And then it's like about you and Nathan Fielder. And there's a lot of those.
Did you write this?
I promised.
There's a lot of those. I'm very surprised. Who started the Y/N? What are the origins?
I don't know the exact origin. It's been a thing for a long time in fan fiction, but there's like a very famous one about One Direction where like people
Which of the
always
members? Or all of them?
I think there's like multiple, but it's like usually they're about Harry Styles, and one of them is specifically like Y/N, and you're reading a book at the concert because you like don't actually care about One Direction, and like Harry makes eye contact with you, and then like pulls you up on stage and like whisks you away. There's also one that's like about this is crazy. Sorry, I wish I hadn't brought this up now. There's also one
No.
like
Go off.
it's called like help, my mom sold me to One Direction. And it's like a first person like you got sold to One Direction. Anyway, someone wrote a version of that, but it's Nathan Fielder.
Why is One Direction human traffickers?
I don't know. We simply don't have time to get into picking apart help, my mom sold me to One Direction.
It's crazy that the person writing it was like, yeah, every person reading this is going to wish it was them. So I'm not going to put a character name. It's going to be you.
There's truly like a fan fiction for everything. If you can dream it, you can write a fan fiction about it. This is actually what I would love for Nathan to tackle next season. Like
fanfics?
Yeah, I would love for him to do something around fan fiction. I feel like it would be incredible. His mind working on this would be just absolutely perfect.
Kelly, we're talking about like anti-Semitism, autism awareness, aviation safety. People are dying.
You're talking about that. I'm talking about pilots kissing, getting sold to One Direction.
You're like, how can we really up the ante? He's trying to talk to Congress. You're like, no, he needs to talk to the tweens. The way to save the world is tweens. We need to harness their power for good. Their literature needs to go to Congress. Although, okay, now that I say that out loud, if we're talking about making fake scenarios, which we are, who is more creative? Okay.
You're on board.
You wowed me. I just had to Y/N my name into the situation.
I believe that children are our future. I don't know how the rest of that song goes.
I just thought you were saying something really wholesome. You were just having a moment. I didn't know it was a song. Does it have a 23-second chorus?
Oh my god, it might.
Does it inspire you to save the children on the plane? The percentage of people still listening has gone down. So we can just talk about whatever we want.
They're like, what the fuck is going on in this episode? Listen, guys, we're going to be honest. This episode, it was like not the best of the season, I would say. It was not my favorite.
I love every episode. And I feel like this one really resonated with a lot of people who watch. So I think more so than the episode itself, I've really, really loved reading what everybody's been writing on Reddit, what people have been writing on Facebook, what people are commenting online, the news articles that are written. Because this is something where I actually feel like he is actually spreading autism awareness and is actually spreading real facts, and it's actually resonating with people, and people are feeling seen in a way that maybe aviation safety isn't as tangible. So I really love it from that perspective. Is it Sully puppet baby? That's a crazy fucking episode. That's a crazy fucking episode. I didn't think we could get crazier, and we didn't, and we have to live with that and be okay with that. Because how could you possibly?
It's true. I agree. I think the representation part is really awesome, and it is nice that so many people are having discourse about how they feel seen through this episode. But from the entertainment part of the episode, yeah, I just feel like it's a little bit of a more like down energy episode than the others, maybe, is what I would say. I guess part of it is that I feel like we've kind of seen Nathan do this before.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly like this, but it kind of feels like a little bit of he's just spinning his wheels on this one. But I agree. I think the actual information about, autism and him kind of showcasing his maybe coming to terms with whether or not the character of Nathan Fielder from the rehearsal could possibly have autism was very interesting.
And I understand your perspective too, where, look, the rehearsal for speaking to Congress did not go well. His joke didn't land. He's not getting the meetings he was hoping for. This last meeting that we're currently talking about also didn't go well. We don't think he's going to hear from Steve Cohen again. When he leaves, he really is pushing Nathan out of the office. And Nathan is stumbling a little bit with his words. He's saying that he's going into the meeting without as much rehearsal as he normally does on this show. But then he does pull out videos. He pulls out a whole script. So he did prepare for it. I think he's playing Nathan Fielder, the character, who's kind of stumbling a little bit more. I would say Nathan Fielder, the person, I would assume actually would be very good at these kinds of meetings. I'm sure he has to pitch lots of ideas and make a lot of connections, especially when he has to explain the show to start with. So I'm sure he's actually very good at pitch meetings. And so here we're seeing him fumble a little bit, which I think is in character. We'll never truly know unless he comes to do an interview or actually says something about it. But we do see that struggle where he actually pulls out a script and starts reading it, which he acknowledges is not as engaging. And we see how Steve Cohen really doesn't feel that he's connecting autism to aviation safety well.
Yeah, and like to be fair, Nathan is fully there under false pretenses. He was like, "Oh, I'm here to talk about autism advocacy. I'm on a board for this, autism advocacy organization." And then he rolls in being like, "All right, so I think that we should get pilots to do role play." Like it totally is
Trojan
not,
horsed it.
Yeah, like it's not what he was there to talk about. So I don't blame Steve Cohen for being a little bit checked out of the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess he was expecting a meeting about autism awareness.
I do feel like this is a big theme of, I mean, obviously this show, but particularly this season with kind of the false pretenses of it all. Like we had Wings of Voice, obviously, where we have people kind of coming in under the guise of it's going to be a big singing competition. And then the singing competition is just one tiny little aspect of the show. But yeah, it just feels like this has been kind of a theme of what's going on this season with Nathan. I wonder if we'll get him kind of tying all of that together at the end.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where he goes from here. We see him at an all-time low. None of his projects and meetings are working out. And there's a lot of unresolved storylines we have going on. But just before we get into all of that, I do want to touch on how Steve asked Nathan to leave. And if we think it's a good way to get someone out of your office.
Iconic. He literally just goes, "Good to see ya," and then like pushes Nathan out of the office. Incredible, flawless execution from Steve Cohen on this.
Yeah, he did make Nathan leave after Nathan clearly wanted to stay and talk longer about this.
Yeah, he channeled First Officer Blunt for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I do want to touch on one thing about Nathan talking about the autism representation and how people feel so seen with this show. And like, I feel like this is kind of common where people come out with a piece of media and then like a group of people who were not necessarily the intended audience or the group represented in the media end up really latching onto it. Like I feel like we see that a lot, especially with social media and TikTok and kind of cult movies that end up getting really big followings.
Yeah, definitely. It is fun to see how when artists put something out, how the audience takes it, interprets it as their own. I think it's seen in music a lot where an artist will have a certain experience. And then as soon as you hear it, you relate it to your own experience and relate it to people in your own life, and it becomes something new, it transforms and becomes something meaningful to you. And, if that song's in the background, or how many times have we said, oh, the song of the summer, and relate it to something that's happening in your life at that time and that moment. So that's just how art happens in society. You relate it to yourself, you see how it resonates with you, and it's definitely really interesting when a larger group all digests it the same way.
Yeah, and like for all of the faults of the time that we currently live in, I do feel like the fact that people can actually connect over this stuff and are able to kind of talk about it and, post about it on Reddit or post about it on TikTok or wherever they are, I think is definitely something that is unique to the time that we're living in. And I think is at least partially like a good of, social media and the absolute insane way that we're all connected all the time.
Yeah, and think of how many people can even use the rehearsal now to talk about a few different subjects,
Yeah.
where a lot of people are posting about it, they're relating it to their own experience, and it seems like it was already happening, but now in a really blunt way. You can just say, "Oh, did you see the rehearsal last night?" and talk about this whole new subject that maybe you didn't know how to talk about before.
Yeah, especially if you like feel uncomfortable or kind of what Dr. Doreen said, like that this is how a lot of people with autism feel. They need to do to be able to be comfortable in situations. I think that that could be really powerful for people who might be trying to like share with their friends or family, just to give them a bit of a perspective for what that feels like. But yes, good to see ya. 10 out of 10. We love it.
Yeah. Next time I'm at your house, if I'm overstaying my welcome, I'll get the hint if you say, "Oh, good to see ya."
I would never. I would simply never. But yes, we do have a lot of loose ends to tie up before next week's finale. I feel like I should check how long the finale is going to be because I don't know if we know, and it feels like a hard thing for them to wrap up in 30 minutes. All right, the episode is going to be called My Controls, but I don't think I am seeing anyone talking about how long it's going to be. So we'll have to see exactly how this is all going to play out.
So there's some loose ends. We're going to chat through them, see what we think will be in the last episode, what we don't think will be in the last episode. And yeah, let's get into it. So, loose end number one, what the heck happened with Moody and Cindy? I don't think we're going to get a conclusion. How about you?
I really hope we do, but I don't know. My heart is saying that it's been so long. We might get clips, but I doubt that we're going to get anything more.
I think with one episode left, we're not getting a conclusion, unfortunately. We got a very brief clip of Mardi and Jeff with the pack around them. We don't know if their communication ever improved. We don't know if the pack worked well for them. I don't think we're going to learn anything more about this.
No. What do you think about Donna, and will she find her own Einstein?
I think it would be an absolute crime if Donna didn't come back. It would be an insane, I want to say character, but she's a person. But an insane character to just let go of. I would bet she's back.
I like, even just in a capacity of her being a fielder method actor for someone else, like we have to see her again.
Oh, I'm shocked she hasn't been in every episode.
Yeah, she's a star.
I would love to see her find an Einstein. That would be incredible.
Are we gonna find out who won Wings of Voice?
I think so. I think they have to give us that conclusion. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely think this one we've gotta know. Like, there's no
Mhm.
way that they would have teased so much about Wings of Voice and shown us that second kind of cut of the people with the group singing if they weren't going to give us the conclusion.
Will Sully respond to this unauthorized biography on his life?
I Like, I really just wrote this because I'm willing it into existence. I just want a Sully cameo so badly.
They have the resources to make it happen. I don't think it okay. The situation where I think it could happen is we know that Nathan has a pilot's license.
Yes.
We know that he's been putting himself through these scenarios. What if in the final episode he goes on a flight with Sully?
That would be cool. I was also thinking like Sully could call him with some sort of like a pep talk or something.
If he was going to appear, I really feel as if he would have in that episode, as we discussed. They have the resources. It's HBO. Nathan is known for doing really quirky things to get someone's attention. I feel like if they wanted him, they could have had him.
Yes. My other question on the Sully episode, what happened to those puppets and will we see those again? Repurposed like we did the Alligator Lounge.
As in, if there's a hypothetical next season.
Or like even in the finale, I don't know, maybe someone's using them for some sort of ulterior purpose. I just want to see them back. They're so funny.
Oh my gosh. I don't want to see him again. I saw enough puppet boob. Thank you for my lifetime.
I'm not asking for the puppet to be shirtless, okay? The puppet can be can have a shirt on, but the puppet can be modest.
There's just no way.
Yeah, sad.
So the episode title is My Controls. I'm putting in my final prediction as we get wings of voice. We get the conclusion. We see Nathan flying a plane, ideally with Sully. We see Nathan taking control of his life, of the situation, really showing that he's got this handled now.
Yeah, I think that is bang on what we're going to experience, but I am secretly hoping that we get a curveball like the Sully episode. I'm hoping for a one-up of Sully just because I feel like it would be really, really incredible stuff and would make this like a top tier season of TV with that.
How on earth can you one up that? I mean, other than the pitches.
We say that like every time. I feel like every time we're like, how can you do something crazier than what we've seen? And like, there's always something crazier.
I think the Claw of Shame is the craziest thing he's ever done.
Really?
Do you not?
I'd have to probably look at a list. I mean, Finding Francis is pretty wild as a whole.
He had to do a magic trick to escape his pants being pulled down to make him a child predator.
It was high stakes.
With a group of children watching whose parents consented to this.
I mean, we also have The Hero where he did that stunt where he tightrope walked across the two buildings in like a prosthetic face, which was pretty wild.
No, nothing's crazier than the Claw. We'll discuss it when we go back and we finish Nathan For You. We'll do a final ranking. We'll talk through Finding Francis. We will definitively find out what the craziest shit Nathan Fielder has ever done is. And we haven't even mentioned him in the weird furry dog suit that came up this episode. I hated that.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a clip from This Hour Has 22 Minutes.
Yeah, I hated it. People dressed like dogs outside of Halloween is not for me.
Fair. Yes, so if you made it this far, thank you for sticking with us. We would love to see a couple new reviews, 5-star reviews on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Please check us out on Instagram at Nathan For Us Pod and on TikTok at Nathan For Us Podcast. Send us an email, nathanforuspodcast@gmail.com. Our friend, I guess now, Pilot Colin, also has a cameo. If anyone wants to get a cameo from Pilot Colin, that would be very fun. I'm sure he would love that too.
This has been Kelly and Megan on your side.